If your roasted boar starts winking at you, you're not at a feast. You're in a medieval cartoon. But let's be honest, in the Middle Ages, dinner was always a bit of a gamble. You never quite knew if your meal would be delicious, dangerous, or, in Helga's case, downright mischievous. Imagine sitting down, stomach rumbling, only to have your main course give you a cheeky wink. That's not just dinner, that's dinner with a side of drama. Helga thought she was hungry enough to eat anything. She'd spent the whole day working in the fields, dreaming of roasted meats, fresh bread, and maybe, just maybe, a slice of pie. Her imagination ran wild, platters piled high, goblets overflowing, and the kind of feast that only happened in fairy tales. She could practically taste the crispy skin and juicy meat, her mouth watering with every step closer to the castle. She was wrong. Very, very wrong. Hunger can make you brave, but it can't prepare you for the surprises lurking beneath a silver lid. Helga's confidence melted away faster than butter on hot bread the moment she realized this banquet would be unlike anything she'd ever imagined. Sometimes the things you crave most come with the biggest surprises. Once upon a time, because of course everything ridiculous starts with once upon a time, there was Helga, a peasant girl with big dreams and a bigger appetite. She wasn't just hungry for food, she was hungry for adventure, for excitement, for a taste of the good life. In her tiny village, stories of royal banquets were whispered like secrets, and Helga listened to every word, her eyes wide with wonder. She'd always hoped for a chance to see the inside of a castle, to taste the food reserved for kings and queens, and to maybe, just maybe, find her own fairy tale ending. She was invited to her very first royal banquet. The invitation arrived on a piece of parchment, sealed with wax and smelling faintly of roasted garlic. Helga could hardly believe her luck. She twirled around her cottage, clutching the invitation to her chest, imagining herself in a gown, mingling with nobles, and sampling every dish on the table. This was her moment, a night to remember, a story to tell for generations. Picture this, grand halls with ceilings so high they disappeared into shadows, walls lined with flickering torches, and tables groaning under the weight of food. Knights in shining armor jousted with breadsticks, their laughter echoing off the stone walls. Towers of pastries and pies reached for the sky, and platters of roasted meats glistened in the candlelight. The air was thick with the scent of spices, roasted vegetables, and the unmistakable aroma of something sweet baking in the kitchens. It was a feast fit for royalty, and Helga was determined to try everything. But there, at the center of it all, was Sir Braggart, the knight so bold he wrestled dragons, and possibly indigestion. He was the kind of man who could turn a simple meal into a spectacle, who believed that every feast needed a little bit of danger. With his chest puffed out and his mustache perfectly curled, Sir Braggart was the undisputed star of the banquet. He regaled the crowd with tales of his bravery, his voice booming over the clatter of plates and the chatter of guests. He lifted a gleaming silver lid, revealing a roasted boar's head, eyes wide open, tongue out, looking like it just lost a staring contest. The boar's expression was so ridiculous, so lifelike, that the entire hall fell silent for a moment. Was it a joke? A new culinary trend? Or had the cook simply forgotten to close the boar's eyes? Whatever the reason, all eyes were now on the table's centerpiece, and Helga felt a shiver run down her spine. Helga leaned in, her curiosity battling her nerves. She whispered, "Is it supposed to be smiling at me?" The boar's goofy grin seemed to widen, as if it knew something she didn't. Around her, the other guests exchanged nervous glances, unsure whether to laugh or run for the door. The tension in the room was as thick as the gravy on the table. Sir Braggart boomed, "Don't worry, the eyes add flavor." His confidence was unwavering, his bravado infectious. The crowd erupted in nervous laughter, some guests clapping politely, others eyeing the boar with suspicion. Helga tried to smile, but her appetite was quickly fading. She wondered if this was some kind of test, an initiation into the world of royal banquets, where nothing was ever quite as it seemed. Helga poked the boar with her spoon, because obviously that's what you do when faced with a smiling roast. The moment her spoon touched its cheek, the boar's eyelid twitched. The entire table gasped. Was it a trick of the light? A clever bit of puppetry? Or was something truly strange happening? Helga's heart raced as she realized she might be in over her head. Cue chaos. The hall erupted into pandemonium. Plates clattered to the floor, goblets spilled their contents, and guests scrambled to get as far away from the table as possible. The once elegant banquet had transformed into a scene straight out of a slapstick comedy. Nobles fainted dramatically. So much ruffle, so little bravery. One lady collapsed into a pile of petticoats, her fan fluttering to the ground. A gentleman clutched his pearls and swooned, his wig askew. The chaos was both hilarious and terrifying, a perfect storm of medieval melodrama. Sir Braggart, never one to back down from a challenge, tried to charm the boar with a bread roll. "Here, piggy, piggy, he called, waving the roll like a white flag. The boar, unimpressed, glared at him with its googly eyes, its nostrils flaring in annoyance. The boar snorted. Turns out it was only half-cooked and fully annoyed. Its snort sent crumbs flying, and the guests shrieked in terror. The cooks, peeking from the kitchen, exchanged worried glances, wondering if they'd ever work in this town again. Suddenly, the boar leaped off the table, its hooves clattering on the stone floor. It sprinted through the crowd, knocking over chairs and sending guests diving for cover. Helga, caught in the chaos, scrambled onto a chair and yelled, "I just wanted soup!" Her voice echoed through the hall, a desperate plea for normalcy in a night gone completely off the rails. In the midst of the madness, Helga made a split-second decision. With the boar charging in her direction and nobles fainting left and right, she dove headfirst into a giant pudding bowl. The world seemed to freeze for a moment. Helga, arms outstretched, flying through the air, destined for a soft, sweet landing. The pudding splattered everywhere, covering her from head to toe in custard and berries. When the dust settled and the boar had finally been wrangled by a team of brave and slightly sticky kitchen boys, Helga sat alone at the end of the table, her hair full of pudding and her dreams of royal feasts thoroughly dashed. She realized with a sigh that sometimes the best meals are the simplest ones. And that, dear viewer, is why Helga always eats before parties now. No more surprises, no more smiling roasts, just a quiet meal at home, far from the chaos of the castle. Like and subscribe for more medieval mayhem. What would you do if your dinner ran away? Would you chase it, charm it, or dive into dessert like Helga? Let us know in the comments, and remember, when it comes to medieval banquets, expect the unexpected. Because in a world where food can wink, snort, and sprint, every meal is an adventure.